So that first one is called Life of a 2-Year-Old. And the life of a 2-year-old is titled Disconnected with Love. And this is with my mom. So yes, a 2-year-old with his mom experiencing being disconnected. But at the time of a 2-year-old, it wasn't love. So my story is that when my mom had me by age 2, she was working, she was going to work, she was dropping me off at my grandparents' house in the morning. She would then pick me up after work, and she did this for a series of times. And then one day my grandparents said, hey, you know what? Leave him here with us. That's what they told my mom. Leave him here with us, and then, pick him up on the weekends, and then when you get situated, you can take him with you. Now, it was a great plan, right? I'm sure people have experienced that growing up living with their grandparents, being babysat by your grandmother or your grandfather. But there's a part of child development that happens with children that sometime in incidences that the child is disconnected from that parent, especially the mom, right? Because I've grown up with my mom for 2 years straight, right? And then all of a sudden, I'm no longer with her. And I became more connected to my grandmother than my mom. We recognized it, we talked about it through the years, but we really didn't understand the impact that it was on for me, of my experience of what was going on. And so with that being said, when I discovered that on how I felt so disconnected from my mom, it really shed a light on my behaviors toward my mom. I love my mom, but there was something there that I was more attached to my grandmother than my mom. But when I figured that out, I was 50. So you talk about 48 years that I lived with this little wedge in between my relationship with my mom. Now, most people won't say that out loud. Of course, they're going to say, I love my mom. Of course, I love my mom. Of course I do. Of course. But what's in your heart? What is in your heart when you think about that parent? And that's what we're talking about tonight. What is in your heart when you think about your parents? And so I want to shape this from scripture-wise around the virtues, right? And those virtues are found in Ephesians 5:1-21. Humility, charity, chastity, gratitude, temperance, patience, and diligence. Yes, can we teach children about those virtues? Yes, we can. At the level of where they can understand. Because for me, a virtue for me is like, in my mind, that's what I'm swimming in. I could be swimming in disappointment, or I could be swimming in humility, or I could be swimming in charity, or gratitude, or temperance in the back of my mind. So in your heart, your heart is a part of your subconscious mind, right? So sometimes we download information to survive life, and that's what we live from. When something happens, we pull up that upset, we pull up that disappointment. But imagine if you download these virtues in your heart, that when things happen, you can pull up humility, you can pull up charity, you can pull up gratitude. And that's what I did. When I recognized that, I started being gratitude toward my mom instead of being this upset child. And it was very important. It was very important in my development. Because you can imagine being a 2-year-old child and being disconnected from your mom, and then growing up with that in the background. It's in the background. It's not in your foreground. It's not in your conscious mind. It's already been downloaded into your heart. And then our behaviors express that. And then we look for evidence as we grow up as a child to prove that disconnection to that parent. And to prove that to ourselves, that we're right about that. Yep. See, I knew my mom didn't, because look what she did. We collect negative evidence sometimes. So I have a friend of mine online, Caldwell, who's going to share a quick story about his relationship with his mom. And if you think that I could go back to 2 years old. This guy went back as far as uh, coming out of the womb. I don't know if Caldwell, are you there? Can you come off of mute? Yeah, we're going to see if we can get off of mute. So again, what I'm sharing with you from that life of a 2-year-old are the virtues. And I found that for myself as an adult, that those virtues are very, very, very important, especially in our walk with Christ. Right? Because being those are ways of being. You have to be humility. You have to be charity. You have to be gratitude. You can't just do those and think that they're going to just stay. No, you have to be those. You have to be temperance. They say patience is a virtue. You have to be patient to experience those. You have to be diligence. And of course, Proverbs 22:6, train up a child in the way he should go, and even when he is old, he will not depart from it. And I'm very grateful for my grandparents and my mom who stood in the gap for me all these years, taking me to church as a child, having those seeds planted, having them watered. And then here I am today before you, being this person that I never thought I would be. Someone who is able to share his story and his testimony. So that's the life of a 2-year-old. Very, very, young age, but it was very implemental in my relationship with my mom growing up as a child. It was very, very a part of my life that was very important, because our parents are the two most important people in our life. Your mom and dad are the two most important people in your life. And when those disconnections happen, things like this can transpire, being disconnected. Caldwell, was that you?
That is probably Reverend Richardson or
Oh,
myself.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm. Mhm.
All right. So that one is the life of a 2-year-old.